Hello.
All righty. Good morning to everyone. Welcome. Teresa, do we have you here?
Yep, I think so. There we go. How's it going?
It's going wonderful. Let's make sure we have the settings here. Good. Good morning to everyone on following us on our Facebook Live. Welcome. I hope you are hanging in there, staying positive, and most important, focusing on what you can control. For those of you I haven't had a chance to meet, my name is Patricia Mota. I'm the president and CEO for HACE, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancements, and this is our Cafecito con HACE series, which is aimed to shed light on a leader, a Hispanic star who is doing amazing work and is relevant during the times that we are in now. And I'd like to also give a shout out to our supporters, Cafe Ama. They have been providing coffee for many of you. I know they've been engaging on our Facebook following, but most importantly, Cafecito supports women entrepreneurs and children entrepreneurs in the island of Puerto Rico. So make sure if you haven't had a chance to go to cafeama.com that you do so. And today we're featuring and we're focused on the 2020 elections and Latino vote. And we're going to spend some time with our guest speaker today, who is Maria Teresa Kumar, who is the president and CEO for Voto Latino. So Maria Teresa, welcome. How are you today?
I'm great, Patricia. Thanks for having me. Where are you? Where do you find yourself?
I find myself in Chicago. How about yourself?
Okay, I'm originally from California, but I live in DC, but we're right now in northern New Jersey because of the pandemic. So.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we appreciate taking the time to chat with us today. First and foremost, how do you like your cafecito?
It's wonderful. It really, really is. And this is so nice. I like to have. It's so funny. So yesterday, my daughter, who is 7 years old, asked me, "Mommy, can I have café con leche?" And I was like, "Well, Lucy, I don't know if you're old enough." So I made her café con leche Colombian style, which is a lot of milk, a slight color of coffee, and a lot of sugar. And she looked at me and she said, "Mommy, this is delicious." So we're like,
wonderful. So Maria Teresa, thank you for sharing. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you find yourself in the field that you're in today?
Yeah, so I am, my family actually migrated from Colombia. I grew up in a very rural part of California called Sonoma, California. And when I was growing up, it was an opportunity to see two different worlds. My mother during the summer, she would send me back to Colombia. So I saw Colombia and Latinos and all our beauty in Bogota. And then I would be shipped back to a very rural part during the year. So it allowed me to see two Americas, but it also allowed me to see what happens when Latinos don't have any obstacles to thrive. When I would see Colombia, and so one of the impetuses behind Voto Latino is really to recognize that young people are navigating America for their families long before they turn 18 years old, oftentimes simply because they speak English. And so our job is to make sure that we are providing young people with the information they need so that they can flex their muscles. We do everything from voter registration to leadership development to providing people with information on healthcare issues, all the way down to, COVID. How do you access care under the CARE Act? How do you access, as a small business, information on loans and all of that? So.
Wonderful. I mean, this is a critical knows, and for those on the Facebook Live, make sure that you share this, or you like, or you comment any questions. We'll address a couple of questions to the end of our conversation today. It's a critical year, Maria Teresa, as you know, and given the current circumstances being the COVID-19, a lot of the challenges and uncertainty that has presented, what recommendation do you have as a leader pushing the vote for those of us that are looking to become more engaged and to really advocate for the elections this year?
I need you all to right now sign up to votolatino.org and become volunteers. Uh, it's interesting. So Voto Latino, we started 15 years ago. This is our quinceañera, so to speak. And the whole purpose, we started online and we started talking to Latinos in English using social media platforms. And everybody at the time thought we were nuts, that we were wasting our time. And so fast forward, for all intents and purposes, for better or worse, Voto Latino was made for this moment. We are registering voters actively as you and I speak. We have registered over 105,000 already. Our goal is to register 500,000, so we're 20% of our goal. COVID has not stopped us. Our big challenge, though, is that now we need an army of volunteers so that we can make sure that when it's time to go out and vote, that people have the information. So we're actively training volunteers. If you go to votolatino.org, or if you, I'll send you the information, but you could also text the number. You text the number to volunteer, and you can learn how to volunteer from the safety of your home. You can text people to remind them to vote. You can ask them if they need more information. We even have a partnership with Lyft, so that if you need a free ride to the polls, especially because you're afraid to use public transportation, we'll give you a lift. But the idea is that no one should be left behind. I think that what COVID has showed us in 40 days are the real disparities that Latinos face in both our health and in our wealth. And it's our job in this election to make sure that we are very clear on the prize. And that is, we want to make sure that we are registering people, but we're getting people out to vote because we're voting for people who have our interest in mind. And for the very first time, Patricia, in this election, Latinos are going to be the second largest voting bloc. We've never had that before. And we're going to have 4 million more young voters that are eligible to cast a ballot for the very first time ever in our history. So now's the time for us. I know that a lot of us are going through some really tough times. I know that we're juggling family life, teaching children. In some cases, we are also going out and working because we can't stay at home. Despite all of that, the light at the end of the tunnel is for us to come out in force, to cast a ballot, because the reason that we are seeing a systemic failure in government is because we don't have the right people there. But if we are able to basically say, this is what we want you to do, and these are how we're going to hold you accountable, that's what basically allows us to be in the driver's seat.
Thank you, Maria Teresa. So for those of you who've heard it, go to votolatino.org. It's good to know that there's a lot of and opportunities to ensure from the comfort of your own home, you're able to advocate and to really push the vote out. And this is a critical year for various, to your point, right? Not only do we need the proper leaders represented as well in government, but we also need diverse representation and more Latino leader representation. Wow. Any insight or recommendations for those that are looking, they're either new in an elected position or looking to run for an elected office in the future? Any advice you would have to those individuals?
So be fearless. I think that it is incredibly brave for us to run for office. And more importantly, we want to make sure that we're resourced. So if you're looking to run for office and you're a young woman, I encourage you to go to emilyslist.org. Full disclosure, I'm on the board of Emily's List, but it is the best organization to learn the skills that you need to run for office. Everything from how do you ask for, how do you make a pitch? How do you talk to donors? How do you make sure that you have your public speaking? Everything. So I would encourage them to go to emilyslist.org. And I also think that every year Voto Latino has what we call a Power Summit. And this year our Power Summit is going to be virtual, but there we teach everybody the nuts and bolts of how to even land a campaign job. So everything from analytics to how do you knock on doors, how do you make phone calls. Voto Latino has become that civic education, education place where it's fun, it's interactive, and you have young Latinos supporting each other to make sure that we are taking our country back.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So those of you share, especially if you're listening and you're interested, or if you know of others, make sure to share, like, or comment on the Facebook following. Maria Teresa, before we turn over to any of the questions that we have on the Facebook Live, anything else you would like to add?
No, I think that this is our year to be fearless. This is our year to stand up. You know, Latinos, we are incredibly resilient. We carry the weight of the country for the most part. We are the fastest growing demographic. We control $1.7 trillion of our economy. And if Latinos, if we were just a country, our marketplace, our power is the 11th largest economy in the world. We need to translate all of that power to the voting booth, because right now we do have elected officials that are not taking care of the education that we need, the healthcare that we need, the job opportunities that we need. And the only way they pay attention is if we show up in November. So I need you all to register to vote. And if you're already registered, I need you to go ahead and send the link to folks that are not. And it's okay to nag people because it's out of love.
Out of love, right? Especially, you know, those in our families and our loved ones. Get out, get the vote. Guys, continue to have your questions coming in. Maria Teresa, our first question is, how can we still be active with the election and the current pandemic, affecting the country? And I think you mentioned some of ideas earlier, but maybe
yeah, there's a couple of them. I'm actually going to tell you what number to text. Germán, gracias Germán for letting me know. It's so if you text volunteer to 73179, volunteer to 73179, Voto Latino will basically put you into our system and ask you to volunteer to call your members of Congress, to make sure that your friends and family, we will give you a how-to. It's super easy. We made it really, really easy so that you can basically be part of the movement. We need you to register your friends and family. And then Voto Latino, we also launched with APIA Vote, a sister organization. We launched a campaign called the Immigrant Neighbor Fund. And we launched it because 20% of the Latinx workforce does not get a check under the CARES Act. They were excluded. And so 100% of your proceeds will go back to those frontline workers, to our neighbors, to our immigrant loved ones, to make sure that they can pay rent, that they can buy food, that they can pay for medicine. So I encourage you, if you're interested in, you know, if you have $5 to spare, we've already raised $1,500,000. And we're trying to raise 4 million. So again, this is a time for us to stand up, because sometimes the best people to take care of us is each other.
And so that was text volunteer to 7379.
Nope. 73, whoops, let me tell you. Otherwise, he's gonna, Germán was gonna, 73179.
I just, 73179. So make sure we can include it on the Facebook. You know, we're having some technical difficulties here. So the last question, Maria, that we hear is, does Voto have Spanish language resources? So for example, for those of us who have families that may be dominant Spanish speaking.
So we could provide you with those resources, and you can register to vote in Spanish and in English. But yes, we can provide that resource. If you share with us what exactly you're looking for, most of it is English dominant, and that is because we recognize that the young people that we're reaching are English dominant, but we are able to provide resources. If you go to the immigrantneighborfund.com, when you hit apply, that application process is multi-language. And so it's in Spanish, it's in Korean, and the idea is to make sure that we can maximize the people that are actually accessing that service.
All right, Maria, I appreciate you taking the time. I know we've had a little bit of delay here going on, so I apologize for that. Thank you to all of our Facebook followers. Quick reminder that we also have a virtual career fair that's coming up on May 27th. So if you're currently looking for your next opportunity, or recently affected by a lot of the layoffs going on and are looking for your next opportunity, please be sure to go to the ASSET website and register for this free opportunity. There's a lot of one-on-one opportunities to meet with recruiters. So you heard it from Maria Teresa, who's an amazing leader out doing a lot of great work for our community, but especially in such a critical time. Make sure you get out the vote and get out there and engage. There's no excuse, even though many of us are cooped up in our homes. So gracias, Maria Teresa. Thank you for joining us
Muchísimas gracias.
today. Bye, everybody.
Ciao. Enjoy the cafecito. Bye-bye. Bye.